Hello folks, welcome to Doing a Tech channel. We are continuing on JavaScript tutorial using FreeCodeCamp website. Let's navigate to the tab where we stopped previously. We stopped in challenge 101 where we invert the pyramid using a for loop. Previously we were incrementing I by 1, but because we're inverting the pyramid in this time, we need to decrement the I by 1, which will be similar syntax. The only difference, we need to change the addition operator to subtract operator. We are going to change this iteration here. Instead, I to equal I minus 1. So I, as mentioned, initially will start from count, and count is declared on the top here is 8. We'll start from 8, and every time we subtract 1 from that 8 will be start 8, 7, 6, and so on until reach to 0. Then the loop will stop. So check your code. Congratulations, your code is passed. Submit the changes and move on to the next challenge. And in this challenge 122 now is asking us to push this bad row using I and count as an argument to this function, push them to the row array. Rows array. So the rows array initially, as I mentioned, is empty, so it will every time will try to push this element. Let's how we can do that. If you remember how we can push a new element to an array on the previous tutorial by calling the array variable name, then using push method dot push. Then inside here we can push whatever the element is. In this example, we are going to push the value of this function. And if you remember how we can call a function in JavaScript, as we learned in the previous tutorial, by calling the function name, then adding this parenthesis. And this function is using these two parameters, so we need to pass a relevant argument to be assigned to these parameters. So this argument basically will be I and count. So let's add I here and then count, and we need to separate the arguments by comma. So between each argument we need to add a comma. So now that we push, and you see that now the pyramid is displayed inverted, starting from last line to the first one. And now check your code. Congratulations, your code is passed. Submit the changes and move on to the next challenge. And in this challenge also just using a different syntax, as you remember in the previous tutorials, how we can increase I by using addition operator, then assignment operator. And same we can do for subtract. So instead of I minus 1, we can do type here I minus equal then 1, which will be same every time we'll try subtract I by 1. So now still the parameter will be displayed as correct. Check your code. Congratulations, your code is passed. Submit the changes and move on to the next challenge. And in this challenge 104, and same as well, as you remember previously we were doing I plus plus to increase every time I by 1. Same we can subtract I by 1 by using I plus plus. Instead we can update this syntax again here by I minus minus, and then just check your code. Congratulations, your code is passed. Submit the changes and move on to the next challenge. On this challenge here now is asking us to comment out this for loop using multi-line command within JavaScript, as you remember as well. So we need to add just slash asterisk at the beginning, and at the end we need to add asterisk, then slash and slash. Check your code. Congratulations, your code is passed. Submit the changes and move on to the next challenge. And this challenge also is telling us that also we can invert actually the parameter without using for loop. So this is a different way. So let's see what this different way is. It's asking us to declare a variable called numbers using const keyword instead of let. And these numbers will have an array. The array include 1, 2, and 3 inside that array. As you remember, let's declare a variable using const keyword, and then the name of the variable is going to be called numbers, and then add assignment operator, then add array bracket or square bracket to represent an array, then semicolon at the end. Inside this array we are going to add 3 different numbers, so which one. And as you remember as well, we separate the data inside an array using a comma, and as well we need to add 2, 3. We don't need to add a comma after the last item in array. So check your code, but still there is an issue. So we need to log out or print these numbers using, as you remember, also to print anything in JavaScript, use console.log. Let's do that here. then numbers inside here. And that if you see on the top right side, we see now array of numbers. Check your code. Congratulations, the code is passed. Submit the changes and move on to the next challenge here. And in this challenge now is introducing one of the array method, which we call unshift. And this is similar to dot push. The only difference, dot push will add an element to the end of an array, and unshift will add an element to beginning of the array. So in this example here, countdown, the initial array is include 2, 1, 0, and then we use here unshift method to add 3 the beginning of this array. Then the new array value will be look like this one, 3, 2, 1, 0. The unshift method itself, if we assign that to a new variable, then the new variable will return the total items inside the new array is created, same as push method. Down here is asking us to declare a variable called unshifted and then assign it to this numbers dot unshift and adding 5 to the beginning of numbers array, and at the end we need to bring out this unshifted variable. Let's do that here. Then declare a new variable using const keyword, and then the variable name is called unshifted here. Then assign it to numbers dot unshift. Then need to call parentheses because it's a method, and method will be represented as same as a function. Then we need to pass 5, and at the end we need to add a console log to print out this new unshift variable. It should display 4, and as this is displaying the total item inside the new array after adding this new item to this numbers. Now we'll have 4 items inside this array. So check your code. Congratulations, your code is passed. Submit the changes and move on to the next challenge. And in this challenge now is introducing one of array method dot shift, and this will be very similar to dot pop. The only difference, dot pop method will remove an item from the end of an array, and where the dot shift will remove an item from beginning of an array. So in this example here, numbers array, and then using dot shift, then we'll remove the first item from this array. The new array will be 2 and 3. The return variable of this dot shift will be this value here, it is removed 1. And at the end or at the bottom here is asking you to declare a variable called shifted, then here at the end, and using const keyword, const shift, then add assignment operator, assign it to number dot shift, the number dot shift, and add a semicolon here. And at the end we need to print out this new variable. We created this variable here using console.log. And if you see the console now printed 5, which is the first item that we removed from this array. Now check your code till there's an error. Let's see what the error is. And the error basically is asking us this line here should be declared just after this here, not at the end. Now let's check out again. So that's now fixed. Congratulations, your code is passed. Submit the changes. So in this challenge now is telling us that now we learned some different ways to invert the pyramids, but for now let's first clean out and remove these variables and console log we declared here before moving on to the next challenge. And check your code. Congratulations, your code is passed. Submit the changes and move on to the next challenge. Now in this challenge is telling us so we can use the previous code that we comment out and uncomment that code, so just to use it. For example, if you comment that for any reason and then you come later to use the same code, you can just uncomment it. So it's called in JavaScript uncommenting, and it's asking us to uncomment the first for loop, so which is this one here, only the first one, by just removing this slash asterisk slash and this one as well here. And check your code, so that's still showing the older pyramid. Check your code. Congratulations, your code is passed. Submit the changes and move on to the next challenge, which 111, and this is going to be in the next tutorial. Thank you for watching and see you on the very next tutorial.